Hi, I'm Reverend Rodrigo Solano, the minister at the Unitarian Universalist Church of Olinda, and I'm here to bring the church closer to you. If you've ever followed the history of medicine, you might have been intrigued by an ancient Greek view about human health, which attributed different ailments, emotions, and healing methods to the balance of 4 fluids in the body. These fluids, or humors, were labeled as blood, yellow bile, black bile, and phlegm. And while those labels may sound familiar, those words were used to describe different things than what we would now associate with those names. I won't go into the details here of what those humors were because our medical understanding nowadays is much different. But I bring them to mind because each of these humors were associated with different moods or personality types. Someone who was thought to have more blood than usual was labeled sanguine and was seen as lively and perhaps more joyful than others. If the imbalance was in yellow bile, then they were seen as choleric and prone to anger and rage. If it was a matter of black bile, or literally in Greek, melancholy, then they were seen as prone to sadness. And the folks labeled as phlegmatic tended to be seen, among other things, as more mellow or reserved. This is a gross oversimplification. And I'm offering this overview because, to me, the most useful part of this classification method was that it named real moods, emotional experiences that real people go through. And today, I invite us to do that, to name, to recognize our multitude of overlapping moods and emotions with a different kind of humor. A humor is essentially a liquid or fluid, and that's where we get the word humid. The humor that I want to present today is water. A ritual that many of our congregations do around this time of year is a water ceremony that honors these emotional experiences. One way to do that is to lay out 4 vessels for us to give witness to some of our emotional experiences as we transition from the summer days and into our new church year. This was an eventful summer around the world, and chances are that there were some events in your personal lives as well. A range of overlapping and perhaps conflicting emotions may have resulted from this, and it's okay to recognize more than one emotion at the same time. So we can lay out vessels for recognizing joy, happiness, amusement, or other kinds of enjoyable and pleasant experiences. Another vessel may be for acknowledging anger, rage, fear, or other bold and sometimes unpleasant experiences. Another vessel may honor sadness, grief, or otherwise a sense of loss that we might have encountered around this time. And a vessel to hold our sense of hope, for peace, for a sense of renewing faith as we come together at this time. I have short reflections for each of these moods, and pouring some water in a vessel for each of them may be a way for each of us to recognize these states of mind. If you have vessels of your own set up at home, you are welcome to follow along in the action, or you can simply bear witness to that ritual from your homes. So let us begin. And I'll begin with the story of an awards ceremony that comes up in the heels of the Nobel Prizes that happened earlier this year. Just a few days ago, there were the 2021 Ig Nobel Prizes. More accurately, they were called the 31st First Annual Ig Nobel Prize Ceremony. This awards ceremony is usually hosted from Harvard University, but was done online for the second time this year. The Ig Nobel Prizes are awarded to real scientific research that, quote, first makes you laugh and then makes you think. Among this year's winners was research seeking to demonstrate that transporting rhinoceroses upside down is better for them than transporting them on their side. This is a surprisingly important knowledge for wildlife veterinarians to have, as they occasionally need to transport ailing rhinos while minimizing harm to them. There was also a study that supports the hypothesis that humans evolved beards as protection from being punched in the face, which can lead to further lines of inquiry. And there was a study that cataloged the array of microorganisms on sidewalk chewing gum, which may offer unexpected insights in the realm of microbiology. There were a total of 10 awards spanning 6 continents, and I invite you to look them up if you enjoy the combo of laughing and thinking. These may not sound like groundbreaking research, but as laughable as they may initially sound, each of these endeavors adds to the sum of human knowledge in more profound ways than meet the eye at first glance. They first make you laugh and then make you think. Laughter, and by extension, any kind of enjoyment, is a basic element in our human existence. And this past summer may have offered many of you with opportunities to find some kind of enjoyment, be it time of rest, or to get to do something you don't regularly get to do, or perhaps simply laugh a bit more often, and maybe to think for a little while longer. Around the Windsor-Essex area, with the Detroit River and Lakes Erie and St. Clair, water can be a part of summer, even if it's just a quick view from the street while walking downtown. Sometimes it can be something more engaging, like a day at the beach or a walk on the riverside. And sometimes it's as simple as a cold drink on a hot day. Pouring this water may help us recognize the moments of joy that we have coming into our reconvening this year, or that we look forward to as we engage in this community again. So we may pour some water in recognition of joy. Among the news this summer and into the fall, we've witnessed the frightening developments in Afghanistan, where many people have been desperate to leave, fearing for their lives. And fear often begets anger. Many people around the world have strong feelings about the near 20-year war that has just ended. Along with that comes the memory of the attacks that happened on a clear Tuesday morning 20 years ago. Many of us remember the fear that came with that day, along with the anger that led to many decisions on world events over the past 20 years. I remember being invited to a Thanksgiving dinner on October 8th, 2001, and learning over the dinner that the bombing of Afghanistan had started the previous day. It's sobering to consider that it's only less than a couple of weeks ago that that war ended. The decisions leading to that war have become divisive, and we also see that divisiveness around many other issues today, around social and racial justice, around health policy, and around environmental action. Among our environmental fears, we have witnessed the stormy seas and rainy gales that have come with multiple hurricanes this season, many of them hitting both far away and closer to home. These stormy fears and this anger are part of our world and our own personal lives, and we can acknowledge them here. Many of us have experienced loss around this time, or may wonder if we may be facing some kind of loss in the coming days. In the world, we are witnessing to the loss of women's rights in Afghanistan. And over the past year or so, we have seen the loss of health and life due to the pandemic and other reasons. With yesterday's anniversary, many remember the sacrifice given by first responders in the performance of their duties, simply doing their daily job during a disaster. And this echoes with the experience of many first responders over the past couple of years, who have given so much of themselves, including sometimes their lives, in the performance of their duties during crisis. With water, we recognize the tears of sadness, literal and proverbial, that may be part of our lives and around the world. And tears sometimes come in a trickle and sometimes all at once. When we talk about the time 20 years ago, the narrative usually mentions both Twin Towers in New York City. And it often also includes the Pentagon in Washington, D.C. And sometimes there's a mention of a field near Shanksville, Pennsylvania. Of course, the symbolism of Wall Street and the US Department of Defense amid the smoke, along with the numerous casualties involved, bring easily recognizable images. But sometimes I wonder if an oft missing headline from 20 years ago was that field near Shanksville. Of the 4 flights that were crashed over 20 years ago, Flight 93 was the only one that didn't reach its target. And that wasn't an accident. It is believed that deliberate action by passengers in that flight prevented it from reaching Washington, D.C. and causing even greater harm. After the closing of Kabul's International Airport at the end of August, it has just been announced a couple days ago that a new civilian flight left Kabul's International Airport, the first in a couple of weeks, bringing people to a safer place over a week after it was doubtful that this would be possible. More flights of this kind may be coming. Even amid extreme adversity, there is hope. And faith in its many manifestations can help us find a glimpse of peace from time to time. This month, there were elections in Morocco and Sao Tome. These elections are complicated things, and at the same time, they always leave space for change, maybe for the better. Here in Canada, we are heading into our own election, and wherever you stand in it, it offers some opportunity for a better life in our country and in the planet. Water may offer witness to floods of hope and tranquil streams of peace that feed growth and change. And so, my friends, with the fluid from these waters, we witness to our moods, to our shared and personal emotional experiences that come with this transitional time as we face our past and look to our future. My friends, may the witness of these humors offer more balance in our lives. And so may it be. In solidarity and love, and in peace. Amen.